Welcome to our free mini-series, Contemplative Aromatherapy for Transforming Consciousness. In this segment, I'm going to tell you how to use an essential oil to reduce anxiety before it starts. Now, this is based on a true personal story. A long time ago, I used to have terrible stage fright. Even just talking with people in a small group would give me extreme anxiety and heart palpitations. And I knew that this was not going to work. One day, I received an invitation to speak to a large group of people in an auditorium. Now, I had several months to prepare for this event. And every time I thought about it, I would have extreme stage fright, extreme anxiety. Well, I decided to do something about it. And I knew something about aromatherapy, and I knew something about meditation. And so I put these things together and later discovered that what I was doing was actually scientifically validated, medically validated, and highly effective. So I'll share with you what I did, and then I'll explain how it works. Every time I sat down to work on my presentation, I would get heart palpitations, nervousness, anxiety, and I would stop. And I would go into a state of relaxation. I would calm the body down, go into a state of just relaxing all the tension that I could feel in the body. And then I would use Neroli oil, orange blossom oil. And what I would do is take 1 or 2 drops on the fingertips, just like this. And then I would breathe it slowly and mindfully. And this oil would help to deepen the relaxation response even further. It is a known anxiolytic, so I was using plant medicine to help me overcome the physiological aspects of the anxiety. So I'd breathe it in and calm myself even further. Then I would go one more step and start using visualization. I would imagine that I was walking into the auditorium, that it was full of hundreds of people, and that I actually felt physically what I was feeling in the state of deep relaxation that I was now in. And so I would breathe the neroli and I would visualize walking into the audience, getting up on the stage and feeling completely comfortable and relaxed physically in my nervous system, mentally and emotionally. And what that did was to change my mental associations with the upcoming event. Every time I did this practice, my associations became more comfortable with this event coming in the future. I did it over and over and over, and fairly rapidly, I was able to reduce the fear of the impending event, and I could actually start to feel good about it. I could actually start to feel excited about what I had to say, understand the value and why I was doing it. I started to actually feel enthusiastic and looking forward to doing the event. Then, when the time came, I did exactly what I had been visualizing doing, which was I walked into the auditorium, and right before I walked in, I did this exercise again. And I walked in, and the fragrance acted as a mnemonic device, which I had been imprinting in my nervous system for weeks and weeks before the event. And I was actually able to walk onto the stage feeling totally comfortable. So that's a little method for you. Now, why neroli? Well, first of all, neroli has anxiolytic properties. You can use any kind of calmative oil for this type of exercise, but neroli is very nice because it is both anti-anxiety, and it is also mood enhancing. So it promotes a kind of mental clarity at the same time that it reduces the stress in the nervous system. But the important teaching here is that when we use essential oils or medicinal plants to help us with something like anxiety and depression, we have to work with the plants and not expect them to do something to us. Medicinal plants don't do the same thing that pharmaceutical drugs do. Pharmaceutical drugs can control and overpower our brain chemistry. But when it comes to certain emotional patterns, we have to actually change how we feel in the body when those thoughts and emotions arise. So the idea here is that we meet the plant halfway. We work with the essential oil, which can give us an immediate calmative kind of effect, but we have to actually retrain our nervous system in order to get the full benefit. So this is a very simple practice. It's very effective, and it's very enjoyable also. And there's undoubtedly many opportunities for everybody to think about events in the future that might be anxiety producing. And if you use aromatherapy in a contemplative way to transform consciousness, then it can actually change your entire experience of that event in the future. So I've come to understand that medicinal plants in a lot of ways have higher levels of benefits than just saying, okay, this oil is therapeutic for this and it's going to treat this. I am coming to appreciate medicinal plants at a completely different level, that medicinal plants are actually to help us transform our consciousness. And this is just one example of how this can be done. So this is bringing several things together. If you breathe the fragrance, it's going to go directly into the limbic system, and that is going to affect the emotional states and the mental states, and fragrance is specifically connected to emotional memory. So anything that has to do with emotional memory, whether it's in the future or whether it's in the past, we can use fragrance to retrain ourselves to react differently. The idea here is imprint the fragrance onto a particular state of deep relaxation in the body, and then bring back the memory or bring up the thought of the future anxiety-producing event. If the body maintains a state of comfort and relaxation, helped by the fragrance, then gradually the physical association with the mental thought and the emotional fear begins to change. And then when you walk into the situation, maybe it's a stressful job interview or a difficult conversation you have to have with somebody, or visiting the relatives at Thanksgiving, or whatever it is, before you walk into that situation, breathe the oil again, and it will be imprinted in your emotional memory. Okay, so that's our little presentation for today. I hope it's helpful. I know there's lots of anxiety-producing events in people's lives these days. And as always, before we close, we should always remember that there are many other ways we can transform our consciousness in a contemplative way using fragrance. And first of all, we should say thank you to all the women in Morocco who harvested all the flowers. It takes 1,000 pounds of orange blossom flowers to get 1 liter of oil. So, to enjoy the oil even further, inhale it slowly into the heart. And in the heart, we can say thank you to the women who harvested the flowers, and to the men who did the hard work of distilling the oil, and of course, to the trees. So thank you for joining me, and in appreciation, we are offering a discount code that you can use to enjoy this oil further, which you can see at the bottom here. So thank you.